Audio-Technica is out with two brand new entry-level gaming headsets. We have the $100 ATH GL3 and the $130 ATH GDL3. Now, I've been a really big fan of Audio-Technica headphones for a long time. I remember one of my first pairs for actually editing videos was the ATH M50, and then I ended up getting a mod mic to attach to that as a gaming headset. And so I was really excited to check these out. And even though there are some similarities between these two headphones, they may look kind of similar, there are a lot of differences, and it's a bit of a mixed bag between the two. So let's dive in and check them out. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Toys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications with the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Hey everyone, Jordan here with 9 to 5 Toys, and we are checking out these Audio-Technica headsets today. So we do the two different variations. We have the GL3 here on the left, which they're calling their Earth version, as signified here on the box, although that really isn't anywhere else. I'm not really sure how that plays in. And then we have the GDL3, which is an open-back gaming headset, and they're calling this their Air version. Now, as wired gaming headsets, there are a lot of similarities between these two, and that also makes the feature list, very simple. And as far as color options, we do have the white variations of both here, which I think, always show up really well on video, but they do have black versions available as well. Besides a similar overall shape and, very similar headbands and everything, there is a detachable microphone on here that is, really easy to move around and get in the perfect position. And then both headsets are extremely lightweight as well. All right, but let's dive in and take a closer look at that overall design. So starting with the GL3, this is the $100 closed back version of the headphones. And as you can see, it has what you would expect, a solid kind of ear cover here on the outside of the cup. To contrast that, over on the GDL3, the open back version, you can see there is this kind of perforated, there's like a thin metal sheet, over the driver here, which lets you actually see the driver on the inside of the headphones. Moving up to the headband, it's pretty much identical between the two. We have this kind of metal frame that expands across. It's a thin metal. It seems to be very easy to move around and, gets a nice, comfortable position on your head. And then that is accompanied by a rubber strap, and that is what actually rests on top of your head. And because both of these headsets are so lightweight, that headband, it's not anything, crazy with any padding or anything, but because they're so light, you don't really notice it. The ear cups will rotate, and while they don't lie flat, they won't rotate 90 degrees to lie flat when you take them off and, rest them down on your shoulders. They will rotate quite a bit, so you make sure you're getting the right position and getting a good seal over your ears. And the ear cups will also tilt quite a bit too, once again, just to get a good position, resting on your head. And here you can kind of see the flexibility of that headband. There's a lot of flexibility here. All the controls are located on the bottom of the left ear cup. From front to back, we have the detachable mic port, the audio cable plug, a recessed volume dial, and a mic mute toggle switch. The recessed volume dial can be a little bit hard to find, sitting down here on the bottom of the headset, but compared to a headset with a larger wheel that's, easy to bump and easy to kind of mess up your volume every time you take off and put on the headset, I much prefer this more recessed one that's a little bit harder to find. And both of these headsets come with two different cables. The first off is a 4-foot cable, and it has a 3.5 millimeter 4-pole, so that tip ring sleeve on the end. And so this is going to work for, gaming console controllers, also going to work with smartphones. So it puts both, the audio and the microphone all through into one connection. And then the other cable is closer to 10 feet long, and this features a split design at the end. So once again, 3.5 millimeter plugs over here, but this is meant, one is separate for audio and the other one is for a microphone. So if you're plugging into the back of a motherboard, this is going to be the best connection for you. Also an external sound card like the EPOS GSX 300 that I have set up here. And moving on to comfort, we already mentioned it's a super lightweight headset, which, definitely helps to make it more comfortable. There also really isn't very much clamping force. Because it's so light, you don't really need to have a ton of clamping force on there. But there are a few differences between the two different headsets. So first off, talking about the closed back version, the GL3, the ear cushions don't have, a whole lot of depth to them. And that is an issue for me on this closed back version. Like some other gaming headsets like the MMX lineup from Beyerdynamic that we just recently checked out, and then also the Corsair Virtuoso RGB XT wireless that we also checked out, that shallow ear cup in there makes it so my ears kind of rest up against the drivers, and that can be a little fatiguing. Thankfully, on this one, the Audio-Technica, the GL3, because they're so lightweight and there isn't much clamping force, that's not as fatiguing for me as some of those other gaming headsets. So it's not ideal, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker. Over on the GDL3 though, the open back version, taking off the ear cushion actually reveals that the driver is kind of pushed back and recessed a little bit deeper into the actual ear cup. And so what that means is there's a little bit more room in there for my ear, so it's not pressed up against that. And you can even just see that pressing up against the driver here, there's a little give to it, which is not present on the closed back version. So for me, this is much more comfortable, just a very comfortable gaming headset. And moving on from comfort, how do these headsets sound? There are some key differences between the two as well. And let's start with the good coming up first. So the GL3, the closed back version, I think both of these headsets have a very similar frequency response. 10 hertz all the way up to 35,000 hertz, which is a huge frequency range. So the GL3, it hits really low, has some nice, deep, impactful lows without being too overwhelming. It makes for a really fun gaming headset. But overall, I'd say it has a bit of a darker sound to it. For the most part, that entire frequency range is pretty round, but it does sound like there's a small boost to the low end, which makes for fun gameplay, but mids track well with other neutral gaming headsets that I've tried, like the Epos H3 and even my Philips Fidelio X3 headphones. Highs are where things start to get a little bit shy though, kind of feels like it's pulled back a little bit on the GL3. They're present, but I don't know that I found the best clarity when compared to other headsets. Now, I never really found that an issue when I was actually gaming, playing Battlefield 2042 or even Escape from Tarkov, but I definitely noticed it more when listening to music. So when I was gaming, the GL3 still provided a fun and full listening experience that let me easily pick out the direction of audio cues, because stereo separation and imaging are also pretty good on the GL3. So overall, I think a pretty good sounding headset. The highs are just kind of pulled back a little bit, which might hurt a little bit with clarity. Moving on over to the GDL3 though, it's a completely different story. Even though I find this headset to be extremely comfortable, I really didn't care for the sound. The lows are still there and present and similar to the GL3, but the mids take an immediate step back that was jarring when directly comparing the two headsets. Mixed with the same kind of shy or pulled back highs, the GDL3 seemed almost muddy, which meant that the clarity that's necessary for gaming wasn't there. And that's a huge shame because on paper, I would absolutely love the GDL3, an affordable open back gaming headset from, a storied audio brand that I'm a big fan of and have used their products in the past. I was very excited for this headset and it's extremely comfortable, but for me, it was just kind of lacking on the sound. All right, and here we'll do a sound test. We have the GL3 here with the mic installed. Like I said, it's a very moldable mic. You can kind of move it around and get it in the right position. And yeah, hopefully this gives you a good idea of what it sounds like. All right, so we're coming to a close here. For $100 for the entry level for this, for the GL3, there are some other great gaming headsets out there. One that I pulled out to test against these was the Epos H3, and I was immediately reminded of why I liked the sound from that headset. It maybe has a little bit more clamping force and doesn't, strike the same chord on comfort, but that also means you have a little bit better passive noise cancellation. Still a great headset for $100. And then also in that same price bracket, we have the MMX line that we just reviewed from Beyerdynamic. And while the comfort wasn't quite there for me, the sound was pretty much top notch. Just some incredible sound coming out of those headphones. Just a bummer about the comfort. And so while I don't think that I can recommend the GDL3 based on that audio, it just wasn't for me. I didn't find the clarity that I needed. It's a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the GL3. If it had that same recessed driver design from the open back version, it'd probably be a no-brainer for me because it's a very comfortable headset in that form. And I really enjoyed the audio coming out of this for both music and for gaming. But with my ears pressing up against the drivers, it's just not the most comfortable headset, and that can be a little bit fatiguing. And for this price point, there are a lot of gaming headsets out there, and so we definitely need to be critical of these. And for me, that is my biggest complaint with the GL3. All right, and that'll wrap it up for our review of the Audio-Technica GL3 and the GDL3 gaming headsets. Let us know what you think about them down in the comments below. And if you're looking for some other reviews to check out, definitely check out the Epos H3, which I'll put up here, and then also the MMX line from Beyerdynamic. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.